The modern Battlefield fanbase is a bunch of battered wives. I am not being hyperbolic. They act like their husband just promised them they changed for the 10th time, then come home only to receive a haymaker to the face yet again,
tuna casserole, and just start swinging.
Only to cry about it later. Literally every single time. In my opinion, the vast majority of the current fanbase has either not grown up with the series or has not experienced the older titles and don't know what they've lost. Some look at other titles, like the last two games, with forced political HR cat lady messaging, and are happy their shiny new game doesn't have that. They will instantly want to pre-order only because it does not have those themes. Look, I hate this stuff as much as all of you, but you're literally prepped for a bait and switch here. Big corpos love this scam nonsense, especially if it's doing that instead of focusing on fun and gameplay elements that made the Battlefield series good. By scam nonsense, I mean the fact that this game will cost $300 over its 2-year life cycle at bare minimum if it succeeds after launch. $300 you probably barely can afford anyway. Watch them sell you skins on that, a battle pass, have DLCs that add new maps and guns as well. For one, it's clear the new project lead is trying to appeal to Call of Duty, stripping it of its identity. The guy literally made Titanfall 1 and 2 good for sure, but he is hamstringed by DICE and EA greed, and he is a different tool for a job such as this. The guy helped made Modern Warfare. No wonder this game looks and feels like COD in terms of story premise, looks, gunplay, and a bunch of other things. Pax Armata literally reminds me of a COD villain group in the newer game. Speaking of which, who the fuck asked for playing as mercenaries? Didn't they learn from the last game that nobody cares about mercenaries? How do they even procure heavy equipment such as stealth fighters? Nobody I know wanted this. On that note, China and Russia will be DLC. I'm calling it right now. Maybe they'll bring back a European nation, since they hinted that in lore, with some European countries leaving NATO. I could be wrong about this in 1 year time. However, it would not surprise me since in previous titles, especially in Battlefield 5, as one example, they added the Pacific War front with the Americans and the Japanese. So it is not unprecedented at all. It's quite literally free money to milk from consumers that will buy everything that even looks remotely cool. Look, this is obviously to attract the wider audience. Yet for some reason, the game looks just okay, and people are happy and celebrating mediocrity at best at a scam price point. Like, genuinely, what is wrong with some of you? Stop giving scammers like this your money. Just because they have a big corporation label on it does not mean they deserve any of your money.
What are you, fucking stupid?
This is not new for the Battlefield series as a whole, by the way. DICE and EA love chasing trends after literally nobody cares anymore, and it's just a husk to milk. Battlefield 5 introduced Battle Royale, and 2042 is a hero shooter in disguise. To further prove my point, this game has been rightfully pointed out to literally look like COD, both in feeling and looks HUD-wise. I understand it's hard to design a unique HUD that doesn't look like every other shooter, but to be frank, at least I can still tell the difference between every other older shooter from 5 years ago. I have to reiterate this because a lot of people that I know and others that I know have that as their first impression when they look at this game for the first time. So I think that's a good time to start looking into brief lore about how we got into this situation in the first place. Hopefully, it's less than 10 minutes. Because the internet has an attention span that is shorter than my patience with this company. So, in shitification of the Battlefield series, in my opinion, began with the very next game after Battlefield 2. There was an excuse made among all Battlefield fans at the time that DICE EA made an engine that was so hard to mod that there was a good reason why we couldn't actually touch their games anymore to mod it to personalize our experiences. But I think, much like many other people do, that DICE EA just straight up want you to buy their sequels and not stay with their older games where you can just mod and change the experience. Why would anybody play Battlefield 5 for a modern example if they could just mod Battlefield 1 to have World War II things? So DICE took that away from us back in the early 2000s. I think a lot of people just fail to realize how old these issues go to, and how bad EA was hated back in the day for relatively innocuous things that we would find rather industry standard for nowadays. EA and DICE were the ones that solidified that and standardized these practices because we let them get away with it. Pre-order bonuses are one thing that for some reason everybody keeps falling for, and fans let companies like this get away with it. To illustrate how important modding is for a game, Battlefield 2's life was extended into Battlefield 4's release because of Project Reality and Forgotten Hope 2 by themselves. Those two mods walked so Squad and Hell Let Loose could run. So keep in mind how important a change like that is. Next, we have random spin-offs that many people played in their childhood, all of which come between this awkward time between Battlefield 2's release and Battlefield 3's release. We have Battlefield Heroes, a cartoony shooter in World War II, Battlefield 1943, which I wish they just ran with more and developed more, Battlefield Play for Free, which had a bunch of free-to-play monetization stuff, which, for the time, made some sense. However, you'll notice that you can buy microtransactions in the modern titles, which are all full-priced games. Bad Company 1 and 2 gave us campaigns for the first time with characters people love. I still need to play through their campaigns personally, but I vaguely remember a World War II opening mission, so already props to them. There was also a Vietnam DLC, which was in Battlefield Bad Company 2, so even the older fans had something going for them. Battlefield 3, meanwhile, was a game that shifted the series a lot more to what we recognize today. More customization, more way you unlock your guns, yet another campaign. Okay, before I get to Battlefield 4, I have to say Battlefield 3 has amazing set-piece cinematic missions in it, but it's separated by kind of dogshit story that wasn't that compelling to me. It felt like they were holding back on a lot of things and weren't allowed to go all the way with what they wanted to portray, which I think is going to be a common theme for every single campaign to come after this. Battlefield 4, story-wise, it's straight up fucking dog shit, I'm sorry, but characters are all annoying and I really don't like any of them. The thing is, did that really matter? In both of these games, the multiplayer section was extremely fun. Battlefield 4 had some of the best content in all of the series. It's just better in every single way to its predecessor. It even had a lot of classic maps, especially from Battlefield 2 and the Bad Company series. Amazing game. Probably the best in the franchise in many ways and the peak of this franchise. But obviously, the previous game had a lot going for them too. There's even some guns that didn't make it into this game, like the G3. However, Battlefield 3 was held back by the fact that it was using a browser to even browse any servers, which really was annoying to use. The real wild card here, though, is Battlefield 1. This game, audiovisual design-wise, was amazing. From music to the sounds that the battlefield makes when somebody shoots or makes an explosion. The chaos that surrounds you envelops you almost so perfectly that you feel like you're actually in a World War I trench. It's not the historical accuracy, it's the authenticity, that the feeling you get, and the mud and the blood that makes this game actually feel like an actual war zone, which sadly not many games can actually do, and not many Battlefield games have done besides mods for Battlefield 2. Now, notice how each of these games in order of release had something going for them that made them really good. People didn't care because every controversy and negative you had about the game, there was 2 or more positives about each release. It's flat out something to love. People even forgave Battlefield 4 and its terrible launch, specifically because, after a year of fixing, it came back stronger than ever. And it's still popular with people online today, where every single time I go to the North American servers, I will find at least one full server. Because of this, I even return to Battlefield 1942 when I can. I got into that game when it went free to play, literally last decade. Battlefield 2 also went free to play last decade. Battlefield 1942 had almost 2 decades of modding for me to finally sink my teeth into it, and I had an amazing experience. Notice how I forgot to mention Hardline. Don't worry, you did too, it's okay. Now, onto the obvious decline that genuinely marked a turning point where we probably will not see a return to form. Battlefield 5. I bet all of you saw this one coming. The controversy didn't happen that long ago. The CEO said some dumb shit, and then he proceeded to pop his golden parachute and leave the company. The whole, oh, I have a kid who wants to play as a woman in a World War II game with blood and violence so she can slay Queen Girl Boss. Now, if he actually meant that, he's just a bad parent, and there's really nothing else to say about that. But it's obvious he didn't, and DICE just wanted to do a rainbow capitalism move. And this was at a time to meet Karen's expectations, who don't play historical World War II multiplayer shooters. Literally, this game got destroyed because the CEO was a male equivalent to a Karen, who said the famous line, "Don't like it? Don't buy it." The old school fans took his advice, and it flopped. The only thing that got some people back was the Pacific Front maps, but the female soldiers took people out of it heavily. Even in the marketing campaign prior to this, they had a female soldier on the cover. They used her to hide behind her skirt and cry sexism. They simply knew the Disney approach. I will mention that there's one campaign mission especially that really irked me a lot. It's the one about the brave Norwegian commandos that were trained by the British to enter occupied Norway to destroy a German nuclear testing facility. They replaced that with a mother-daughter combo of a random scientist that was collaborating with the Germans and had a change of heart halfway through, so that way they could have some lame girl boss message. Now, World War II has a bunch of different stories they could have told, but they decided to make shit up and just move on. So, I'm gonna move on too. Fuck this game. They even had a German mission where you played as a Tiger crew, something that would have been extremely interesting back in the day, but for some reason you can't show any of the imagery or speeches or anything from the time without some innocent, impressionable 25-year-old hearing a speech from Mustache Man and then getting convinced for some reason because big corpos think that little of you. Now, this game had some features that were actually cool, like the distinction between automatic rifles, medium machine guns, and light machine guns, or the basic building system that I'm sure they will never bring back to expand upon, sadly. They quite simply got punished for entering the culture war on a side which now in hindsight is the losing side. But then again, that was obvious to not make a historical setting and take the piss out of it. You could have just done a modern setting with those themes if you wanted to, and people would probably not freak out as much. They still would have, however, it would be more graceful on your image in the long run, because it's very obvious that nobody can trust you now. And anybody who does trust this company with their money deserves to lose it, because they, at best, hold you in contempt. This all pales in comparison to Battlefield 2042. An unequivocal abortion of a product that flopped so hard on launch that I'm actually amazed that DICE thought they could release this and not say it's early access. It's genuinely impressive that they thought gamers were that dumb, which I mean, they had a lot of precedent for that. Oh, don't worry though, my hyper anti-woke friend tells me this game failed because one non-binary person was in it. No, this game was just a really bad hero shooter at launch without a scoreboard when you press tab for some reason. If anything, all of that stuff in the game was just a warning sign for you to not buy the game, because whenever you see these red flags, it's usually badly made and highly priced into oblivion for no reason. This launch was so bad that a random indie studio made a clone called BattleBit Remastered and topped the Steam charts because people were starving for a good Battlefield game at a fair and reasonable price point. With all that being said though, DICE EA has successfully replaced its old fans. The game has been stripped of its identity right before us, and the old guard devs have long left ages ago. This is a tale very common now with the likes of Killing Floor to Total War. The company gets way too comfortable, and it gets more and more greedy with less and less service it provides. Hence the phrase enshittification. Anyway, I hope this paints a picture for you to see where we are now versus how we got here. Gamers do very little research before buying. They do very little research before pre-ordering as well, and they just stand by and consume everything. Gamers talk all the time, but never practice it. Everyone says vote with your wallet until they see the shiny trinket. Your actions have consequences. Now, the economy sucks anyway, so why are you people spending money on slop? It will launch with bugs. It will launch where some of you can't even run it. It will be unoptimized, and it will be overpriced for the displeasure of it. It will also have an anti-cheat which does not work and frankly is just messing with people's computers now. Is it worth it? I'd personally say no until it's on sale, after all the DLC and such is also released, and DICE is not bringing new content in. EA does not deserve a penny more. They have quite frankly destroyed this industry by being the set example of what a company should do to earn more money for itself, and gorge upon it, at the cost of less effort and less soul put into the game. I have a personal rule I do with every single AAA game nowadays, even AA sometimes depending on how big the studio is. I wait 6 months, and if I don't give a fuck after 6 months, then it was not worth my time or money anyway. Goodbye.